Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
Welcome to the Comedians and Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Edward L. Betz here. Edward, say hi, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a playwright, write screenplays, uh, working as a carpenter for last 20 years or so, building boathouses because nobody's doing the plays. So, rather be a live carpenter than a dead playwright.
Sure. No
Um,
plays on the boat?
no plays, what? Oh,
On the
on the boat.
boats.
Oh, wait, one more time.
Did you do any plays on the
Boats like,
boats?
it's boathouses we build. We build boathouses. They, like put piles in the ground, and I
Sure,
just,
sure.
but they haven't done any plays in a while. It's been a while since we've done any. Um, yeah, quite a few years. We did a screenplay. We did one of my films a while back, like a full length, but it's like 20 years ago. Um, the yeah. Lately, I just been writing lately, so I just kept writing. I just kept writing and just got like a library filled of. So
Very cool.
whenever I can find me a theater with some plays and actors, I'll uh, you know, what if I could steal me a bunch of people and put them in a place and get them to build a place. I could teach them how to build a place, teach them how to language, and then teach them how to act. I'd have something, but until that, hey, what is that cap? It's a cap you got?
That's right. That's right. I got it's all inverted. So you tell me how you see it, right? It's like where is this coming from? So let me just get started by defining the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the
Mhm.
comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's any person, I'm sorry, who's a funny person telling any jokes. So the idea is,
Mhm.
may evolve from a comic into a comedian. So that brings us to the first question, which is the role of persona in comedy. How much of the comedian's voice is a character versus their real self?
Um, wait, one more time. Say it again.
How
Can
much
Can
of
you
the
hear me?
Yeah, yeah. How much of the comedian's voice is a character versus their real self?
I think it's always because you only have one voice. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody's only has one voice, no matter how they do it. I mean, Robin Williams never sounds like Eddie Murphy, and Frank Sinatra never sounds like Led Zeppelin. You always so whatever that the little thing that's inside there you can't really change it. You might sound up a little different, but it's all still come out the same. Robin Williams was always him. Uh,
Absolutely. So would you say that authenticity matters, or is illusion part of the magic?
Oh, you gotta be. It has to be real. I mean, it has to be real. You have to believe it. You have to believe it's real. It's like an actor with their lines. I mean, if they don't believe what they're saying, it doesn't sound real. I mean, that's
Right.
why film as opposed to stage. Stage you got to run with the whole freaking thing. It's like your comic. Getting on stage and going for 30, 40 minutes bantering like that. I mean, it's just I'm in awe.
Hmm. Yeah.
They're definitely real.
So, punching up versus punching down. Where do comics versus comedians stand on this? So, did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Bad. I guess it depends how bad the course jester was. I mean, and did he get a joke out of it? I mean, was it funny? Um,
That's the question.
mm, that's the thing about being good to be the king. I guess the poor jester always think about it. But hey, if it was that bad, then that's why they got the cliff to throw him off, right?
That's right.
I guess
That's right.
people kind of like to have that, but now they got.
Get some bread and circus. So, would you say that the audience's agreement with a comedian is a form of permission or alignment?
I don't know. I'd say lineman. I'd say lineman.
alignment. So, have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen a
Yeah.
comedian or a performer really ask for permission to move forward with a joke?
Mm, he's no, because he's rolling. He's on his he's rolling with his thing, and he's not he's he feels it out, but he just it's like when when you're on the corner in the neighborhood, you kind of rolling whatever it is that's got the thing that's got everybody gonna go with, and you don't stop because but then again on the other time a lot of this is somebody else's expense, that
Right.
but when it becomes ridicule, that's when it's you know a little awkward, not awkward, but it's just well, everybody hates bullies,
Mm. Except for the bully, does he hate
comedy.
himself?
Oh
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah. That goes back to the first 5 years of my life.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So cultural translation of comedy. How do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
I just think because there's different languages. Everything means different. Want something like what is it in Spanish? How is male and female, the chair and all that. We don't get that over here, whereas they get that there, and it's a whole different setup. And French. I mean, somebody, yeah, yeah. It no, I don't see that. I don't. I don't think it ever really could work. I don't think it really just. It has to be in the same language. It has to be where you start at.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I really don't think you can play. I don't know how many comics go from here down to Bolivia. How many of them go into South America and play things? Does it work like that?
Not
Or
necessarily
have you
that
ever
direction, maybe more laterally, east west, but north south, I don't see as much, perhaps. Yeah.
No, no,
Well,
no.
would you say the
It's too
comics are
cold.
more what's that?
It's too cold, Canada. So that's what It's the south.
Would you say that comics are more universal while comedians are more culturally specific?
Um, yeah, but a comic, I think. You see, like I heard you say before about like how you thought Robin Williams was more of a comic than a comedian, and I always thought it's really the opposite because a comic I kind of assumed to be somebody like Gallagher or something like that. They're using gags, whatever it is to make a laugh or whatever, as
Yeah,
opposed to uh, the comedian who's just he's rolling on whatever's the little voice, the little thing in the back of the head, the little moose, that's got him speaking, that's dragging him off in the direction. That's saying this is the vote, this is the line, this is the line. He has him rolling with it because he's listening to that little voice in his head. Um, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. There's a Venn diagram on
I
this.
don't
There's
know.
some overlap. So we're trying to, narrow down that gap and really map it out and see where it fits. So
Mhm.
cr- crowd work versus crafted work. If comics riff like influencers and comedians perform like in reaction videos, where's the sweet spot?
Um, the riffing is just so spontaneous that it's just that I think just it 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 has more of a role to it than the other because the other's so set up, and it
Mhm.
seems like it's more pre-organized, organized, and then so I don't think it would roll as fast. I think the other one just was funnier.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Well, what
Stop
happens
it.
when a comic leans too much into crowd work or a comedian gets heckled?
Um, heckling. A crowd. The heckling. It's just rude. It's just people dealing with their own shit, and that's why they doing that. Other than that, I mean, unless the guy's not funny. I mean, if the guy's not funny, then it's you know, well, that goes back to the jester. Uh, but the other way. What was the first one again?
Uh, well, if the comic leans too much into crowd work.
Um, I think he can get lost. I think he can get lost and run, run off and move away from where he was from his line that he already had.
Hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. So, advertising and self promotion. Who advertises themselves more, the comic or comedian? You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast and get the message out today. See you soon.
I think the comic. I think they have to, because I think the comedian is automatically, like I said, I assume two different things. Like I see it as two different complete things. That the comedian is just automatically funny. I mean, they just always. He cannot be funny. He's always. I mean, you go back to like say Rodney Dangerfield, right? All right. Remember that? I don't know if you remember this stuff, but like Rodney. His roommate was Joe Amces, right? Now Joe Amces could never get on stage. He was shy. He would give his stuff when they would do stuff on the corner, hanging out and all. Lenny Bruce was doing Joe Amces. He was because Joe Amces was a guy that he was always but just couldn't get up on the stage, and so Lenny Bruce was doing his bit. He was like just kind of doing his material stuff, whereas Rodney Dangerfield wind up becoming roommates with this guy, and I think it really kind of he was more set up. His was more set up, and because he was following this guy, And you never ever heard about Joe Anson again. I mean, I never ever looked him up to find out whatever happened. I'm sure everybody's dead.
So would you see self-promotion as selling out, or is it necessary for survival?
You see that? Yeah, they have to. They have to. I mean, they need a paycheck. They don't have a choice but to do that. But to be honest, it does seem like selling out in a way, because it seems like your shit is good. It sells itself. It's gonna eventually get out there and do it. I mean, I've always kind of counted on that myself. I mean, I figured that sooner or later things would, somebody just read this, read that. Because I still don't know how you ever found me, or just, that's why I'm kind of curious.
Serendipity.
What?
Serendipity?
What did you say?
Serendipity?
Serendipity.
Yeah.
It is kind of, yeah. That is a strange one. That is, yeah.
So censorship and offense. Does a comic avoid offense while a comedian courts it to prove a point?
You go back to it's so crazy how. Remember going back to Lenny Bruce, how he would say things in order to be able to get, and it was to get attention, but it was also trying to prove a point. He was also kind of fucked up at the same time, but I mean, he was always trying to prove something, and and it wound up. He never censored it. He always said it, because he said, if he said this, you said this long enough, pretty soon it doesn't mean anything, and it's really just the opposite, because words do have a meaning. That's why you're doing what you do. You're trying to make people laugh, and words are everything. And that's the whole thing. Censorship, it should be self, but the idea, like censorship, like the Fort stuff, all the Fort humor in movies and that, it's like, they don't have anything else. I always wonder where the hell it comes from. Is this a producer pushing for the stuff, or is this,
right,
that's something that should be censored? But I mean, it's like, if you can't censor it yourself because you're playing to a 10-year-old audience, and which it comes down to whores. I mean, hey, let's be honest here. You're shooting for a 10-year-old. You're desperate. You should. I don't know if I hit your question or not. I mean, if I answered
yeah, absolutely.
it right,
well, who survives better in a cancel culture environment?
Time. The comedian. The comedian. Well, I mean, the comic will always be because he has the jokes, he has the setup. The comedian, he is he's stating what he's got to say, and he's getting out there no matter what. And it wasn't ever meant to be offended. Whereas I think the comic is trying to offend. He is trying to get the reaction, trying to, and I might be just the opposite because I'm not, either hip on the comic,
It's a Venn
I'm
diagram.
kind of.
We're trying to map out this topology here. We're not, this is some new definitions here. Okay, so timing and delivery, science or art. Do comics rely more on structure and comedians more on rhythm and emotion?
I think you're right. Structure, comics or instruction. I think comedians or um, it is art, because it's no one. Well, it's both because if you don't sense, you don't hear the little voice in your head that says, "All right, go left, go right. This go with this one, go with that one. All right, now this is time to there. Here you go, boom." And it's both. You have to use them both. I mean, without that, and it goes back to the voice in your head. I mean, well, it's kind of terrible telling people, but without that, you got direction.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd say the voice is actually not in your head, but it feels like it is for sure. So, laughter versus applause. Are comics chasing laughs and comedians chasing applause breaks that validate the message?
I think they're both chasing laughter. I think the whole thing is laughter because laughter is everything. I mean, without comedy, you got nothing. You got two guys digging a ditch. They're in a hole and they're digging their way out of it. And the only thing that keeps them going is breaking each other up. That's a hard struggling thing. And it's like on every job site, all up, everywhere. Two guys hanging on the side of a building. They do things back and forth just to be able to light to keep things going. And every time without laughter, you got nothing. And um, we lose it so much. We get so caught up in so much other crap that we forget about funny. And comedy
Yep.
is everything. Without comedy, I mean, I don't understand, murder mystery movies and all these other things because I mean, comedy. I mean, my God, wouldn't everybody want to laugh? Doesn't everybody want to laugh? I mean, why not? There's something wrong with you if you don't want to laugh.
That's why I'm
And
doing this is the people that
I'm
don't want to
sorry.
laugh. That's why I'm here. The people that don't want to laugh, they're not here.
Yeah, you can't. Well, you can hold hostages, but you're not supposed to. But um, I don't know. Funny. If it's funny, it's going to get out there. If it's funny, funny's funny. You can't stop funny.
Yep,
Um,
exactly.
but
Force of
it's
nature.
the thing that ties everything together.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, one more
100%.
time.
So comedy is
Unfortunately, oh yeah,
commentary.
yeah,
Can you? Yeah. So when does a comedian cross into being a philosopher or a preacher?
yeah. It's that sudden turn when you go a little bit too far. When you cross that line, and you're pushing your ideas on somebody else. And that was the whole thing what Lenny Bruce did. He just went too far. He just started going because he was obsessive compulsive. I mean, those people
Hmm.
shouldn't be comics anyway. But
Hmm.
but yeah, and it's at any other at someone else's expense. I mean, I know it is that you write about the characters that are funny, and that's what I'll do. Because they're hilarious. That's why you got them. I mean, you can't. Some characters they're all alive. I mean, you can't shut them up, and it, what makes them grow, I think, so good is the comedy thing. But then it also goes back to the little voice. You got to have that to be able to which way it's going. I don't know if I
So would
lost
you,
you. I'm sorry.
not at all. Would you say that Lenny Bruce is his humor diluted because of that?
Yeah, very, very much. It ended because he got so political. He got so trying to set the message. He got that it was he lost all the other thing. But the other thing always goes back to the funny. Like funny people. Usually, it's always coming from some kind of obviously everything's back to the first 5-10 years of your life, that sets up everything. But if there's people in your family that are funny and they're comedy and it just kind of rolls, it's like a thing that jumps on you that you always, because you try to break them up and then you roll with that and that's something you go with. But if it isn't, I'm sorry, where we started, what was the question again to begin with? I'm sorry.
So when a comedian crosses into becoming a preacher or a philosopher.
um Yeah, yeah, it is. It's that point when they have to they putting their ideas on you that they're trying to push that on you, and it's well, you can tell it's not funny at that point. You lost them, you lost the audience. It reeled back because it wasn't supposed to go that way, and you should never. I mean, if you're gonna you can lead a horse, but I mean, you're not supposed to lead them. Actually, you're not supposed to let them know that you lead them if you're gonna lead
Sure.
them.
So comedy and vulnerability. Would you think that comics hide behind their jokes and comedians expose themselves?
I think they were all vulnerable. I think comedian both versions because I think it always goes back to something. It's like that's where I was at before about usually the best comedians. Well, even like actors, there was something back when they were young. I mean, there's always something to happen because you need an action to spur another action on. Action is reaction, and so you need something to spur on, and something usually happened. Like, I mean, God, look at Rich Pryor, his childhood, and then look at what do you call it, Lenny Bruce. Both of them had such trauma and stuff that this was there that spurred them on. But then George Carlin, I don't think he had that kind of thing. I don't think he had any kind of trauma like that. I don't think Eddie Murphy had any kind. But well, they're more actors, but George Carlin, no, yeah, I guess that's where you go to the comic or comedy. I mean, a comedian, because yeah, but George Carlin, I'd say, was more of a comic, even though he didn't use props or anything. He used, but then again, he's the perfect one, like you're saying about message. He would get a message out a little, but he would do it subtly. He would just so get it out there that it was just he got his point across, and so.
So with George Carlin, would you say that he's giving you the solution and then describes the problem?
Yeah, I don't, or just the opposite. I'm not sure because but either way, he sounded and he put his philosophy or whatever it is without being preachy. He got it out there and he just did it. I mean, it was in you. It was out there. You could see it, but it wasn't. It wasn't bent beat you over the head with it in the least. Like Lenny Bruce did.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comic's tight five survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
I don't think the point of view makes it because of it's yours, whereas the other side I think is it, ah, it depends how long how long they were out there too, because look at the ones we do remember. The ones you do remember, like I said, then it goes back to the other thing. It had to been something like Rodney Dangerfield. I don't know what kind of he had. I don't think he ever had any kind of trauma. I think he just set things up. That he was just a great delivery guy, but he had somebody he was stealing from to be able to do it. Not that stealing, whatever you want to call it, but you that's why if you got somebody that's right there that's writing your stuff for you, you can really really. But you remembered, the tragic things are remembered a little bit more. Like always tragedy.
Yeah,
Sorry to
absolutely.
say.
That's true. Well, Edward, where can everybody find you online?
Oh, I have some stories on linked. Like if anybody wants to check out any plays or screenplays or whatever. Um, the synopsises or whatever. Some, but have a lot more. Just if anybody wants to get in touch, let them. I definitely
Awesome.
get out the
Awesome.
field. But I appreciate
Well,
that.
absolutely. Well, Edward, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everyone, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.